Unlucky 13. In Prisoner of Azkaban, Professor Trelawney refuses to sit down at the Christmas dinner table. If she joins, there will be 13 people seated, and she insists that means the first person to rise will die. Everyone around her dismisses it as nonsense, but the detail most readers miss is that there were already 13 people at the table before she even walked in. Peter Pettigrew was there the whole time, hiding in plain sight as Ron's rat Scabbers. Trelawney's warning wasn't wrong, it was just aimed at the wrong audience. Dumbledore was the first to stand, and he was also the first of that group to die. What makes this detail so quietly brilliant is that Rowling planted it without any fanfare. There's no dramatic music, no lingering moment. It's a throwaway scene at a holiday dinner, and it contains one of the most precise pieces of foreshadowing in the entire series. The same pattern repeats in Order of the Phoenix, where 13 people dine together, and Sirius is the first to rise, foreshadowing his death later in the book. Rowling used the same device twice, in two different books, and both times it paid off exactly as the superstition promised. Snape's last words. In the final chapters of Deathly Hallows, Snape is dying. His last words to Harry are simply, "Look at me." For years before the book came out, Rowling had hinted that there was something meaningful about Harry having his mother's eyes. Most readers assumed it would matter at some point, but the full weight of it only lands in that final moment. Snape spent his entire life carrying a love he never got to speak out loud. He protected Harry for years, not out of fondness, not out of duty in any simple sense, but because every time he looked at him, he saw the woman he had never stopped loving. Harry's eyes were the closest thing to Lily he had left. He didn't ask for forgiveness or try to explain himself. He just wanted to see her one more time. Rowling never writes this out directly in the text. She leaves it to the reader to understand on their own, which makes it land harder than any explanation could. Dumbledore's gleam of triumph. Near the end of Goblet of Fire, Harry has just survived his encounter with Voldemort in the graveyard. He's shaken, exhausted, and recounting everything to Dumbledore. In the middle of the conversation, Harry notices something strange pass across Dumbledore's face. A gleam of something that looked almost like triumph. It's gone in an instant, and the story moves on as if it never happened. Readers who caught it had to wait 3 full years for the explanation. The reason Dumbledore reacts that way is that Voldemort used Harry's blood to rebuild his body. That turns out to be a catastrophic mistake on Voldemort's part. Because Lily's protective magic now ran through Voldemort's own veins, he could never truly kill Harry as long as he himself remained alive. Dumbledore understood the implications immediately, in the same room, in the same conversation, while Harry was still processing the trauma of what had just happened to him. That brief flicker of an expression, easy to skip over on a first read, is him realizing that Voldemort had just handed them a way out without knowing it. It is one of the most understated moments in the series, and one of the most carefully placed. The Three Brothers. In Deathly Hallows, Hermione reads aloud the tale of the three brothers from the Tales of Beedle the Bard. 3 brothers each receive a gift from death. The first wants power and chooses the Elder Wand. The second wants to bring back someone he lost and chooses the Resurrection Stone. The third, the wisest of them, chooses the Invisibility Cloak and greets death as an old friend when his time finally comes. The story is presented as a fairy tale, something children in the wizarding world grow up hearing. But the 3 brothers map almost exactly onto 3 of the most important characters in the series. Voldemort sought the Elder Wand above everything else, driven by his obsession with power and his terror of death. Snape's entire arc is shaped by his inability to let go of Lily, the person he lost. And Harry, when the moment comes, walks toward death calmly, without trying to escape it. Rowling built the entire mythology of the final book around a bedtime story that had been sitting quietly in the wizarding world the whole time. The tale wasn't just background detail, it was the blueprint. A Horcrux hint. In one of her divination classes, Professor Trelawney is attempting to read Harry's future. She hazards a guess that he was born in midwinter. She's wrong. Harry's birthday is July 31st. Most readers take it as another example of Trelawney being unreliable. But Voldemort's birthday is December 31st, which falls in midwinter. And by the time Deathly Hallows arrives, readers learn that a fragment of Voldemort's soul has lived inside Harry since the night of the attack in Godric's Hollow. Trelawney wasn't reading Harry at all. She may have been picking up on the piece of Voldemort that had been living inside him all along, without either of them knowing it. Whether Rowling intended it as foreshadowing or not, the detail fits almost too precisely to be accidental. Snowball fight. During Harry's first winter at Hogwarts, Fred and George Weasley bewitch snowballs to follow Professor Quirrell around and bounce off the back of his turban. It reads as a throwaway joke, a couple of troublemakers amusing themselves at a teacher's expense. But at the end of the first book, readers find out that Voldemort has been sharing Quirrell's body, his face pressed against the back of the professor's head beneath the turban. Fred and George, without knowing it, had spent an afternoon throwing snowballs directly at Voldemort's face. It's one of the most quietly funny pieces of foreshadowing in the entire series, hidden inside what looks like a simple background detail in the middle of a school winter scene. The Vanishing Cabinet. In Chamber of Secrets, Harry is nearly caught by Filch during a confrontation near the caretaker's office. He hides just in time, and in the chaos, Peeves the Poltergeist drops a large cabinet from above the doorway, smashing it and giving Harry the cover he needs to escape. It's a small, almost forgettable moment. Years later, in Half-Blood Prince, much of the plot centers on Draco Malfoy secretly repairing a broken vanishing cabinet in the Room of Requirement. The cabinet is one half of a connected pair. Fix it, and anything placed inside will travel instantly to its twin cabinet at Borgin and Burke's. The cabinet Peeves destroyed is almost certainly the same one Draco spends an entire year trying to repair. A throwaway scene from the second book is, quietly, the origin point of the plan that eventually allows Death Eaters inside Hogwarts. Plausible predictions. Toward the end of Goblet of Fire, Harry and Ron are struggling to finish their divination homework. Rather than put in any real effort, they start inventing dramatic predictions for Harry's upcoming week, filling the assignment with increasingly dire forecasts. They write that he will suffer burns, that he will lose a treasured possession, and that he will come off worse in a fight with an enemy. All three come true before the book ends. The burns correspond to the first task of the Tri-Wizard Tournament, where Harry faces a dragon. The lost treasure maps to the second task, where something he values is taken and placed at the bottom of the lake. And coming off worse in a fight is almost an understatement for what happens when Harry meets Voldemort in the graveyard. Two students treating homework as a joke accidentally wrote an accurate summary of the year's most dangerous events, and no one, including them, noticed until it was already over.